is going to be the 7-month 16-day check-in, and I'm going to be discussing how to maintain and how to protect once you quit nicotine, how to maintain once you've quit nicotine, and also how to protect mentally, spiritually, physically, and emotionally protect once you have quit nicotine. This is going to be a video for, anyone who is having a interaction with a substance or an addiction or any habits or behaviors that you want to change. This is a video on how to, maintain that, position in life once you have achieved what you set out to do, how to maintain, and also how to stay protected. So let's start off with mentally. Hopefully you guys can hear me over this music. I'll put it over there just to make it a little bit easier. But mentally, you can maintain mentally by using your thoughts to work in your favor. For example, instead of thinking about how badly or how you want to use said substance again, think about how the longer you go without it, the more you detach from it, mentally gaining and maintaining mental power over your desires, thus it not being able to have control over your mental strength. This also has to do with mind over matter, meaning don't let the matter, which is stuff that you can see physically, don't let the matter overpower your mind, right? So like the external thoughts and visions matter. The external conscious, don't let it affect your mind, so not letting your matter overpower the mind in order to be able to create actions for self that are actually pure and true and not influenced. So the way that works is that you don't have the influence of the external when you're mentally maintaining and mentally being protected, because your own mind and your own mentality is going to be sufficient for you in any scenario where you're not actually going to need to depend on something else to get some sort of mental comfort or some sort of mental stability. You will be in charge of that. The more that you are gathering and taking over your mental state of mind. And guys, mental self-maintaining your addiction and being clean can be as simple as telling yourself that the mental stability that you're experiencing is more harmonious for you and for your mind state than nicotine-induced thoughts, right? So to be able to be consciously aware of that, once you have gotten to the position you need to be in, or in this scenario, quit nicotine, let's say mentally you are thinking that your mental stability that you're experiencing after coming off of it, after going without it, and just becoming stable through the process of, being strong, right? Maintaining and also staying protected, like we're talking about. It's about that is more important than those nicotine-induced thoughts, which are the thoughts that are the impulsive, I need to fix recurring thought patterns that mentally form addictive cycles. So the very thoughts that are induced by nicotine to have you continue to crave it and crave it over and over again are what actually form that nicotine cycle mentally. So it's about choosing the stability, the mental stability, over those nicotine-induced thoughts. Okay. And moving around a lot, that's good. So when it comes to mental maintaining in society and outside the comfort of your own home or your own space, it's as simple as staying in your own mind and not thinking about things that you cannot control, such as other people's actions, right? And so it's just to always be aware that you're responsible for yourself, and to not stress on things that you can't control. Like I already said, you do you, right? Regardless of what you see around you, you do you no matter what. And it's about empowering yourself, is what it's about when it comes to making changes to behaviors that you want to make yourself a better version, essentially, of yourself. I would take in mind that there are mental influences everywhere, and you have the power to not allow these mental influences that are out there to affect you and to change the way that you think. Yeah, to recap mentally, you will be in a healthier mind state when you decide to quit nicotine, because you're not going to have those nicotine-induced thoughts anymore. And that's something that is really soothing. You know, as much as I could sit here and say that, oh, it would be really nice to have a vape again, as much as I could sit here and do that, I know in the back of my head, and I just know, that's a phrase, but I just know that I don't want that for myself, right? I don't even want that in my reality. And the fact that I have been just sharing information about it, it's like, no, even though I can talk about this, I can still distance myself from it, and I can still see it for what it is, which is a good thing, mentally. So, spiritually, maintaining your state spiritually is to have an inner knowing that you are living true with your being and soul purpose, as well as in the line with your moral system and higher virtues. It's basically, what do you have a lot of faith in yourself? Because when you do make decisions in life, you have to make sure that they are in line with your morals, which I just had talked about. And that's making sure that you are actually a true example of being a strong spirit, honestly. And as well as being spiritually aware of how you interact with the physical world, which is just to be aware of how you interact with the physical world, just like I said. All the actions that you take in the physical world, be aware how that can affect you on your spiritual path and spiritually, and to always be looking at things in more than just one perspective, especially when it comes to being aware of how it can affect you spiritually, mentally, physically, and emotionally, and bringing it all together to understand, all these degrees of your reality. One second, I just gotta do something real quick. Yeah. So, you could think of mentally, spiritually, physically, and emotionally as each of those four being 9D degrees, because 4 times the 90 degrees is going to be 360. 360 total degrees, meaning your reality, your 360. But yeah, that's going to be it for this little short break. But back into spiritually, including the inner knowing that if you spare the body from drug abuse or addiction and the reality of how it can affect you, you'll possibly exist on this plane of existence for an extensive period versus a shortened length of period of time. Thus, your spiritual Thus, if you had to experience more time on this plane, your spirit will have more time to experience and more time to grow and learn from the experiences that you have and the excess amount of time that you have. So spiritually, definitely to maintain is to definitely stay in the spiritual space that you want to stay in and that your intuition tells you to be in. Without listening to these things and having it, help you at the end of the day. So let's go into physically. And I'm just going to take a sip of tea, but we'll get into physically in a moment here. Alright. To physically maintain, stay protected, is to, and before I move on, I want to talk about spiritually again. Spiritually stay protected, know what path you're going down, know how you're interacting with the physical world, and what kind of spiritual signature that comes with, how it's affecting in the deeper ways rather than just the physical, right? Alright, so now we're on physical. Physically maintain actions and partake in actions that where you used to do actions that negatively affected your health, such as your addiction. You're now going to do actions for self that are contributing to your overall health, and this could go anywhere from deciding, what you eat, right? It can go deciding to just being aware of what you put in your body regardless, because now that you don't accept putting something in your body, whereas you were accepting it before in terms of nicotine addiction, you can see that once you change the behavior, you want to just do